Many children go to school not knowing how to read, and a lot of parents are really searching for answers on how they can help their kids. I know because I'm a mom of 4 and I started teaching my children how to read when they were just babies. I sent them all to school except my youngest, who is not in kindergarten yet, knowing how to read. In fact, I was able to do this so well with my second and third child after kind of guinea pigging the first time that my children were able to read novels before going into kindergarten independently, reading Charlotte's Web and Stuart Little in the book.
Expedition 25. On Expedition 25,
So it has been a mission of mine to bring this methodology forward to more parents so that they can feel confident sending their little ones into school knowing how to read. It also just opens up a whole new world for the children, a different experience for the parents, and I truly believe that teaching a child how to read along the same time that they're learning basically how to speak is one of the easiest, most effortless ways for them to learn how to read. It's less drilling and it's more intentional, it's more bonding. In today's video, I really want to cover the importance of teaching blends. I think parents get very caught up on teaching their children the letters of the alphabet, and that's one of the first mistakes. They'll say A, B, C, D, E, F, G, but that isn't useful when it's time for them to read. The word does not say C-A-T. It says K-A-T. And they need to know that when they see these symbols, that C, that A, that T, that it makes those sounds instead of saying its name. Knowing how to say the names, of course, is important for spelling later, but right now when we're talking about learning how to read, we really want to focus on the sounds before we focus on the names of the letter. So from here on out, I'm going to say phonograms when I mean letter. Phonogram just literally means the picture of the sound, which is the letter. So a phonogram is something that you use in order for you to know that a certain sound should be said. But there are a lot of rules, and there are way more phonograms than we learn. So for instance, we learn about the 26 letters of the alphabet, but we don't talk about those 44 phonograms, single letter phonogram sounds. We don't talk about the 49 multiple letter phonograms. And we don't talk about how there are phonograms that literally make multiple sounds, 27 of which make multiple sounds. So you need to break this down early on so that later on you aren't telling your child, oh, here's an exception, and here's an exception, and here's an exception. For me, when I was learning how to read, that was very frustrating and irritating, and it just made the whole entire experience less enjoyable. We want to cut that out. I know you want to cut that out. So I'm going to go over some really simple ways in which you can incorporate blends and digraphs into your letter sound phonogram learning. You'll see in this video my son, who is 7 years old and he reads independent on his own, and my daughter, who is 4 years old, going over phonograms. And they're going over these blends and digraphs. We're building words and we're using something very important. Objects that we can pick up with our hands. When they're this little, it is better to have incorporated things where you can pick them up, build words, and break words down than simply showing them flashcards. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm queen of a flashcard. I love a flashcard. However, I think they can be overused and just suck the joy out of the experience when you start treating them like drills. So here's what I want you to take away from what we're learning right now. Number 1, do not teach your child letter names before the sounds. These sounds that have symbols are called phonograms. The sound itself is phoneme. The letter that represents that sound is a phonogram. We just call them letters though. There are only 26 letters, but you need to focus first on 44 phonograms. You also need to speak to your child about multi-letter phonograms. That's your blends and digraphs. That's your sh and sk, th, bl, cl, sp. Those sounds, those letters that get together and make one sound, we need to start incorporating that a lot earlier on than people tend to do. I want you to start that right on in the beginning with the general letter sounds that you normally were going to do. Do those blends, do those digraphs. I also want you to learn that you are going to incorporate more hands-on activities when it comes to building and breaking down words. When we're talking about the sounds, when we're focused on phonemic awareness, I would love for you to have something that they can physically hold in hand. If you're going over the sound sh and the phonogram that goes with it, I would absolutely love if you could have one of the small little letters that I was playing with my kids in one hand saying shh. And then I would love if you had a sheep in the other hand, a toy sheep or a picture, right? And we go over the sound. And then we can start breaking down the entire word. We can go sh, eep. And then we can start building the word. Now, that E in the middle, it can be spelled a lot of different ways. So there are 31 spelling rules to the English language. I'm not going to bombard you too much right now because I'm going to do another video talking more about that. But make that obvious that there are multiple ways to make the E sound. You can show just EE. You can show the EA. You can show the IE. There are tons of ways to make the E sound. And then you pick out that this one says EE. And then we can explain why very soon after. I wouldn't wait too long. And then we go to the last sound, P. And now we have sheep. And we can put it all together. And that's an exercise. You can end it right there. You don't need to overwhelm a 1-year-old or a 2-year-old. They learn so quickly. They're sponges. The next thing you know, they'll be 4 years old reading a novel to you. If you want some printable flashcards, I have on my website 100 printable flashcards and a list of 300 high frequency words, the ones that your child is going to hear the most when you're reading them. Child books or any books, honestly, they're going to come across those words. I have a list for you just to make things easier for parents because everyone asked me for this, so I wanted to make sure you could get it. So you just fill in your email address and it sends it right to you automatically. So let me know that you get it. If you don't see it, check your spam or junk mail. Make sure it's there. If you still don't see it, just send me a message and I'll check on it and see what happened. But anyway, I want to be able to help you guys as much as possible. Let me know any questions that you have in the comment section and I'll try to address it in another video. But with that said, I'm going to get myself to bed because I need to get up extra early to make sure the kids are ready for their Mandarin Chinese lessons. I'll talk to you again in another video soon. See you then.